I recently did something that I never do ever. I watched one of my old videos. I know, crazy concept, right? But for me, that's pretty unusual. I'm a pretty big proponent of just drop that shit and pretend it doesn't exist. And I'm talking one of my old ass videos. Specifically, my how to get into experimental hip hop video from 5 fucking years ago. Oh god. Which, in fairness, I think I did a good job. I like that video. But it made me think. There's been so much new music and old albums I started loving again that a sequel was pretty much begging to be made. In these videos, I look at it as I'm kind of talking to someone whose extent of the genre is like Gunna or like fucking NBA Youngboy, you know? The picks here are kind of like a gradient. They go from pretty accessible, like, hey, I know some of those names, all the way to, yeah, you're probably not gonna fuck with it, but like, come on. It's an effort to expand people's palettes and get people to engage in art that's a little more experimental than what's conventionally in the mainstream. And I don't want to go back and retread old ground, so all the albums that I talked about in that video are going to stay in that video. So that's why the usual suspects that most people would think of when you hear experimental hip-hop don't appear in this video. So that is this video. 5 more albums to get you into experimental hip-hop. Let's begin, shall we? Getting someone into experimental hip-hop is difficult because if it was very easy and accessible to enjoy, then it wouldn't be called experimental hip-hop. So picking the first album that could be the initial toe dip into the experimental hip-hop genre is difficult. Don't want to toot my own horn here, but I think I got a pretty decent pick for someone's first foray into the genre. Travis Scott's 2023 album, Utopia. I mean, what more can be said about Travis Scott? He's a cultural phenomenon, one of the biggest artists ever, and he had a meal at McDonald's. That's pretty big, I think. I can't do that. So with all that mainstream attention, considering him an experimental hip-hop artist is a little far-fetched. I understand your trepidation, your hesitation from me saying that alone. But I and a few people on Rate Your Music will bargain that Utopia has experimental elements to it. And I think it's a great first step into someone who's looking for a little something more experimental in their music. I admire Travis Scott's creativity in the way that a lot of mainstream artists are just very okay with playing it safe. Like I mentioned, he's one of the most famous musicians or hip-hop musicians currently active right now, but he insists on pushing the envelope and finding new production styles that can intrigue people, make people feel like he's on the cutting edge, as if it's a Utopia situation. Do you see what he did there? I mean, the opening track alone, Hyena, is very weird for a mainstream hip-hop album. It doesn't even have him on it. It doesn't even officially start with hip-hop. You have an a cappella, weird, atonal, sung intro thing that devolves into some pretty intense and grimy drums. I mean, sure, are some of the super popular songs a little annoying and overplayed? Perhaps. K-pop, I'm looking at you, man. I don't even know why you're here. But there are truly some moments on Utopia that, looking at it from an outside perspective, wow, Travis had some balls putting this on his album. Some personal stance to me, and I think a great place to start, My Eyes is a really good track that is kind of getting the mainstream play that I was hoping it would. I know a lot of people say they skip the first half to get to the second, more hip-hoppy half, but I like the first half better. I mean, it helps that there's a Bon Iver and a Sampha feature on it. That'll definitely give you some brownie points in any song that they appear on. But the mellow and atonal synths are weirdly abrasive in a beautiful way. And the aforementioned beat switch going to something very ethereal, but also simultaneously eerie and intense. I think it's a really awesome track that I would say has elements of experimental hip-hop. Songs like Sirens with its grimy drums, Modern Jam with the very simple throwback production and insane Tizo touchdown sample, Lost Forever, which is essentially an underground Griselda song on a fucking Travis Scott album, and maybe my favorite song on here, Love featuring Kid Cudi. This is a grimy-ass industrial beat, and I am here for every second of it. It's super off-putting and energetic, but also, a little danceable. It's got a groove to it. It's got a little bit of a groove to it. Is there a pointless Kid Cudi feature on the back end of this? Yeah, but, everything else is awesome. I personally do see Utopia as a really good first step into getting someone into experimental hip-hop. It has that big name value where you're not too nervous about finding someone that you've never heard before. But it's also weird enough sonically to push, the average consumer out of their comfort zone. And from an artist as big as Travis Scott, I think that's nothing but commendable. This next album is for my old heads. Where are my old heads at? They love that old school boom bap shit. That 3-6 Mafia shit. I was going to make a joke about this album being a new school take on that, but it was released in 2012, and that was 13 years ago. Shit. Perhaps one of the most grimy albums to exist in mankind. Little Ugly Mane's Mista Thug Isolation. An album so filthy and grimy, even the album cover is rotting off the bone. Mista Thug Isolation is one of the albums that I've known about for a very long time, but I never really took the jump into really experience it. I knew the legend status of Little Ugly Mane, but from never experiencing it myself, I was always questioning, what's the hype? And after I listened to it, I understand the hype. Little Ugly Mane is an artist that goes by many pseudonyms now with a lot of genres under his belt. But Mista Thug Isolation is unique in the way that it brings back this old 90s, 80s Memphis hip-hop sound for the new era in the 2000s. And while that statement by itself feels a little, to get someone into experimental hip-hop, Little Ugly Mane understands how to make a song catchy. I mean, if you're doing this like completionist style, trying to go through like every album like front to back, first track is crazy. I'll give you that much. That's a little bizarre. That is straight up cinematic noise track. So maybe steer clear of this if you're like adequately following my scale. But that transitions into one of my favorite songs on there, Serious Shit. It's a perfect distillation of everything you're about to experience on Mista Thug Isolation. Blown out and overcompressed sample chops, hard-hitting and ethereal drums and production, and to put it lightly, straight bars, honestly. I know people don't love the fact that he pitches his voice down for this, but I really think it adds to the character that Little Ugly Mane is portraying here. A very grimy, scumbag, too cool for school dude, and with a little bit of a deeper voice, it really sells that illusion of, I am the shit. But deeply, like most of us, even the character on Mr. Thug Isolation is a little insecure. Songs like Radiation continue that blown out psychedelic experience. Throw Dem Guns with genuinely catchy and earwormy melodies. Twistin' featuring Denzel Curry, a legend in the underground space. Bitch, I'm Lugubrious, maybe one of the unironically funniest hip-hop songs ever. Like, Little Ugly Mane has really funny and tongue-in-cheek bars throughout the entire project, but this just takes the cake here. I'm gonna read you maybe my favorite thing ever written by a human being. I equate your uselessness to bitches that are bootyless. Your YouTube page is viewerless. It's humorous. I feel personally attacked by that bar. But one of my favorite songs of the album, with one of the most insane sample chops and production switch-ups on the entire project, is Wishmaster. That song and just the entire album is so unique, weird, and kind of catchy. If you like your hip-hop, braggadocious, a little grimy, then I think this is the album for you. Little Ugly Mane is a super talented artist. Like I mentioned, he's been doing a lot of genres since hip-hop, and he's had some mental health struggles. So personally, from the Bucket of Jake channel and everyone watching, Little Ugly Mane, thank you for what you do. So how about this? How about we keep that grimy vibe going? But instead of the chopped and screwed grime, it is straight degenerate grime. JPEGMAFIA and Danny Brown's 2023 collab effort, Scarin' the Hose. Jake, why is an album called Scarin' the Hose number 3 on your list? Well, you are in for a treat for the next two. Well, the album does mark a point where we're getting a little more challenging throughout the listening process of this video. I think it has moments that could be genuinely catchy to people if they're in the hip-hop space. Sure, does the title track here sound like someone is straight hitting it raw? Yeah, but like, that's for the seasoned vets, you know? There's other experimental, industrial, and poppy takes on hip-hop music that aren't the most insane thing you've ever heard, ever. Songs like Kingdom Hearts Key is a very accessible song, and no shocker, it's one of the most popular off the album. The sample and the production is fun, ethereal, and energetic all at once. Is Danny Brown's voice going to be a bit of a deciding factor for some people? Yeah, but that's a good litmus test to see if you'll like the rest of the list. It's an awesome track that was, I'll be honest, a skip for me when I first heard the album, but since I've came back to listen to it multiple times since, it's been one that I've been really falling in love with. Perfect is just essentially Family Ties, but for degenerates. I stole that meme from Twitter. Lean Beef Patty, while being a little on the weirder side, has a really fun sample, very topical lyrics, and a really great blazing start to the album. And my favorite song on here, God Loves You. Oh my God. A straight up gospel song flipped to the most insane beat I've ever heard in my life. The last time I saw him live in Baltimore, he cut the song off short, and I will unfortunately never forgive him for it.
Y'all got too hype, you scaring me.
That song is personally, to me, a genuine, honest-to-God rager, with some insane, tongue-in-cheek lyrics to boot. It's a really fun song that is awesome to pregame to. I would not know why, just have a hunch. The album titled Scaring the Hose, I think, is a good gateway into experimental hip-hop. It has energetic, party-able, and accessible moments, and if you find yourself like me becoming war-hardened over the course of this, it's got the weird shit that keeps you coming back. A great record, maybe a little out there for number 3, but hey, it's my video, and damn do I love this album. Number 4 on the list is a pick for the conscious hip-hop heads. Someone who wants to be transported away with storytelling rather than awesome instrumentals. But check it out, this one has both. Billy Woods and Kenny Segel, 2019 album, Hiding Places. This is an album I would describe for my own personal taste as a slow burner. Instead of listening to the album first try all the way through, loving every single song, it was a slow burn. I heard a couple songs here and there. Slowly I would listen to the album, start liking more and more songs, hear those songs in different contexts, start liking new ones, until I think this album is peak. Legends of the Underground, Billy Woods and Kenny Segel really put pedal to the metal on this one, really showing off the best and grimiest parts of the underground hip-hop scene. Billy Woods' incredible storytelling laid on top of Kenny Segel's very ethereal and nauseating production is like a audio storytelling journey happening in real time. This is something that you would show those real rap fans that are like, oh, well, Eminem is clearly the GOAT. Play them big fake laugh and see what they say.
You mean today?
It's such an incredible song from its storytelling, bars, flows, and production. While it might not be the most accessible to appear on this list so far, it is a belter if you like the weirder stuff. Steak Knives is probably going to be the runaway favorite for a more mainstream hip-hop audience, but for good reason. The intense drums and sampled material feel like a verbal argument. Songs like Spider Hole give you those chiller moments, those more meditative, look at what just happened moments. Checkpoints is a song I can barely even consider a hip-hop song. It's more akin to a rock song with the intense guitars and bombastic, crazy percussion. Bedtime for one of the most hypnotizing songs on the album, with a beat drop segment that makes me want to just tear my skin off. And maybe my favorite track on the album, one of the most infamous for not just an insane song, but a perfect name, SpongeBob. That first bass note. I will be on my deathbed with zero memory in my head, but I hear that first bass note of SpongeBob, I'll be back. Again, this mix of chill but also eerie, as if there's tension building as you're listening to the song. It's so lo-fi, dirty, and distorted, like it was ripped from a stolen vinyl record, like I'm not supposed to be hearing this. And just the insane lyricism of Billy Woods, comparing the underwaterness of the operation to SpongeBob. Like, if nothing else can get portrayed in this section of the video, is Billy Woods is one of the greatest rappers of all time, and he is so slept on. He needs way more adulation for the shit he can make me feel. An awesome and incredible album that we are slightly floating into, yeah, this is pretty weird. I don't know if a lot of people are going to like this, but that's number 4 on the list. So can you only imagine what number 5 is? What could possibly be the last album that I did not discuss in the previous video, and something that's honestly built up enough of a legend and notorious stature for being an experimental album to appear this late on the list? If I could be very frank, honest, and candid with you, I'm a little embarrassed with myself that I did not fall in love with this album sooner. That's right, Experimentation's so nice, put him in the video twice. JPEGMAFIA's 2018 album, Veteran. This has a lot in common with how I explained Hiding Places in the last entry. It was an album that I knew existed, liked some songs, but had some, more of a growing pain to fall in love with the more deeper cut tracks here. And not gonna lie, it took me a while. It was all the way up until summer of last year, the previous time I saw JPEGMAFIA live. Because if you were unaware, JPEGMAFIA's I Lay Down My Life For You is one of my favorite albums ever, and I wanted to see him on tour. And the songs from Veteran went so hard, I thought I was missing something, and I indeed was. The album is insane. It's number 5 on the list because it's crazy. This album has been out for like 7 years, and no one has even gotten close to replicating the sound because it's so weird and unique. I feel like people don't know how. JPEGMAFIA is nothing if not an expert producer. But this album doesn't just hit you with the most insane shit you've ever heard ever. The album actually starts very low-key and very accessible. If anything, this is probably one of the most accessible tracks that I'm going to talk about in this video. A lot of people I know have zero clue who JPEGMAFIA is, have at least liked this song on one of their playlists a long time ago, 1539 North Calvert. You know, maybe the vocals are a little aggressively delivered, to say the least, but the instrumental is just essentially a fun pop rap song. I really think it was intentional, that being the first song, because the following track is the most insane shit I've ever heard in my life. Full stop. If anyone else is stumbling onto this album, they hear this, great googly moogly, you're in for a scare. I mean, the most insane drums you've ever heard in your life, and the very prominent vocal sample from Legend of the Underground, Old Dirty Bastard from Wu-Tang Clan, is definitely going to turn some heads in the hip-hop scene. Same with tracks like Baby I'm Bleeding with, I don't know, I think it's a laugh that's edited. I think it's just such an insane sample that I can't even pinpoint what it is. Rock and Roll Is Dead, just sampling just some random YouTube video about a guy talking about a gun and bong rip slowed down and reverbed. It's like, what am I listening to? Whole Foods, which is like if a smoke alarm was malfunctioning and you just rap over it. Williamsburg, I Cannot Fucking Wait Until Morrissey Dies, Curb Stomp, Rainbow Six. All of these songs are just so insane and crazy that a rap producer would make this and find a way to somehow flow over it. But I will end off on a song that I think is very slept on in his discography, but also I think a lot of the mainstream hip-hop audience would really enjoy this song. Macaulay Culkin. Please do me a favor, me, Jake, saying this right now, ignore the Rick and Morty line. It aged terribly, aged like milk, unfortunately. But everything else about this song is awesome. It has vulnerable moments, super heavy and grimy boom bap drums, and a very melodic and gorgeous guitar sample. I think it's a really slept on melancholic hip hop track. I find it super ironic that an album with such insane and head pounding glitches and harsh noise samples, that it has one of the most slept on and, in my opinion, catchy and accessible songs that is yet to hit the mainstream. Big takeaway from this video, I really recommend you giving Macaulay Culkin your fullest attention. It's a great song by JPEGMAFIA. And just like that, those are 5 more albums to get you into experimental hip-hop. I feel like if I was able to get one person to try something new and dive a little deeper into the music genre that they enjoy to find something a little more off the beaten path, then I consider this video a success. If there are any albums that I missed, which there definitely are, please leave them in the comments below. Music is a fantastic gift, so give new ones to as many people as you can. Thank you for your time. And yes, that is a signed copy of Viagra A Boys Be Jealous.